How's it going? This is Cams Across the World and catching up with the guys from Some Guys with a Camera. Today we've got Joe. No, not Joe.
John.
Oh yeah.
Oh, crap, your names are like all school. It's, but yeah, do you want to just introduce yourselves and what you do on the project?
So I go first. I'm
Yeah.
Matt. I'm the writer and director of Virtual Pint.
Go on, John.
I'm John. I'm one of the writers and stars of Virtual Pints.
I'm Ethan. I'm the assistant director, director of photography, and one of the stars of Birchall's Pints.
Yeah, it's killer. All you guys have like multiple roles as well.
Jesus.
That's not life.
Yeah, we all took it in turns to do a bit of everything.
Yeah. We didn't have a massive budget and we didn't have massive resources either. So if somebody had even a minor skill set that related to a certain role, and they would assign that, and we all knew that we all had to step up if we were given a certain role. So yeah, there was a bit of a pressure, but when you got given something, it was because the people around you thought that of all of the many people that were working on the show, you were the best person to do any one specific task.
I think as well, like me as a director, like I trust the people that I know. It's kind of an extension of like, if you want something done properly, do it yourself. Like I trust the same few people to carry out anything that needs doing, basically. So I think people ended up with maybe more little roles, but that just means they're in the credits more. So it's great for them.
Yeah, that's pretty killer. I was thinking of just because you mentioned budget, I was actually looking at the costumes, and like everything's like well fitted. Like there's no shit costumes on it. So there's like, I think it was like I don't want to obviously spoil the story and stuff, but there's an imaginary character, and I think it's episode 1 at the end or something like that.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah. He's in. I think he's in every episode, isn't he?
More or less, he's in most of
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Ah, cool. Yeah, but even his suit, like it's all well fitted. But like, as you were saying, like a lower budget project. How'd you make that happen?
Wasn't that his suit?
All right.
It was
it?
the brilliant thing is about a lot of the characters is that they were written with specific actors in mind. So our friend Scott, who played the college friar, who's like the tough kind of punk, kind of the bronze character, he's wearing all these bizarre like leather jackets, and he's always got his hair in a mohawk. He's got like these rings. He's got this extravagant gothic jewelry. He already owned all of this stuff, so we didn't have to go out looking for that. His character was kind of written for him with him in mind, and then the same goes for Connor Simpkins, who played the imaginary bartender character. So his suit is very much like tailored for him in that way, because when you have a limited budget, you've got to kind of make the most of the resources that you already have. So I think when Tarantino made Reservoir Dogs, I think all the actors in that used their own suits because they didn't really have the budget for anything else.
That's
it's about being clever. When you've got comparatively as well to other smaller shows, even to those like the early seasons of some other comedies like Curb and Always Sunny, and even Two Pints. Think like shows like that have still, comparatively to Birchall's Pints, got budgets that completely eclipse us. So the scale at which we have to be clever is absolutely massive because of the restrictions that we've got because of budget and resources. So being clever filmmakers and having doing enough before Birchall's Pints on the ground with such little resources was really important, and we wouldn't have been able to do the show if that wasn't the case.
Yeah, like it looks fantastic. So like, did you have to rent all your cameras, or is that something that you were able to get funding for?
Well, as you can see, it wasn't really much of a problem.
Oh yeah, it's just got everything. So you kind of pulled resources in. You were just that's badass.
Yeah. No, this is me. This is the office that I work at now. I work full time since Birchall's Pints, but no, we didn't rent anything, did we? We used the budget for the audio equipment. Yeah.
We bought audio equipment because like our past, like we like to look at what went wrong with past projects and improve that for the next one. And our audio in our previous projects isn't great, if existent at all. So that was one of the things we invested in from the money from our crowdfunder, was audio equipment.
Yeah. And then everyone that worked as a DOP on the show all had their own cameras. Yeah, I did, and the two people before me both had their own cameras as well. So yeah, renting was never an issue, and I don't think we could have rented. We couldn't have afforded it, especially not like we couldn't have rented something that would have produced the quality that we were looking for.
Yeah,
It's like
for sure.
Every cameraman like had brought their own camera that they were comfortable with. Everyone had their own way of shooting as well. So when it was a different cameraman, you know, they worked slightly differently. So it was nice to do like different ways of shooting scenes as well.
Yeah, there's some bits like some of the more actiony kind of scenes I would say would have like a higher frame rate and stuff like that. Where it's more like jerky, and it definitely adds a lot to it. But then scenes like where yourself, John, like when you're up on the stage giving a speech, like there's a wee bit of a scuffle between the cat. So yeah, so there's definitely different styles, but it all matches together. Yeah, so we really enjoyed it.
One of the main things I wanted with this show was variety. Like, I'm just such a sucker for having a really horrible scene that like makes you really disturbed and want to cry, and then the next scene is a complete joke. Like, people will notice that a lot throughout the show. There'll be a scene that's really disturbing, and there'll be one after it that is just really, really silly. And I like that because that's what life's like. Like, I'll have a really funny moment, and then I'll get some really bad news, and then it just keeps going around in a circle. So I think the whole point of the show is just to have everything at once.
Yeah, there's a nice bit of beautiful chaos to it. It's cool. It reminds me of do you ever see a show from over here called Hardy Bucks? But I think that one of the things I was thinking about, it's like basically an Irish version of Trailer Park Boys, but I think it was kind of like that in the sense that it was like a lower budget show, but yours is, I think it's more accessible. Whereas like if you were to watch Hardy Bucks, there'd be a lot of like local references. So how did you write your script, I guess, like to make it broad, instead of like just being this is a Liverpool comedy for Liverpool?
There wasn't much Scouse slang in the script anyway, was there?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think like I wanted to set it obviously in Liverpool, but I didn't want this. You'll see some of my other work has Liverpool as almost a character. Like, it's so important that the film takes place in Liverpool or whatever. But I just wanted it to be set here, and then that it probably could be set anywhere theoretically as long as it was a big city. But I think just obviously because that's where we live and it makes sense too, but also just sentimentally it was nice to have it tie into Scouse culture. But yeah, I think the key was not making Liverpool the focal point, more just a backdrop.
I also think as well, because like I would say probably a good 90%, maybe 80% of the cast and crew that worked on Birchall's Point weren't actually from Liverpool. They were from the surrounding areas, and they were from, some of them down south, and some of them had come up from different places, different countries even, to take part in the show. So writing a show about Scousers set in Liverpool wasn't really a viable option because so many of the people that worked on the show weren't from here. There was people from all over, not just this country, but the world as well. So I think like if we'd written the script with all this slang and all like this Scouseness to it, and it was so identifiably from Liverpool, it would not only restrict the people that would watch the show, but it would also make it really difficult for the people that were on the show, working on the show, to do their jobs, or at least the majority of them.
Yeah, oh for sure. Like I was able to just dive right in, and yeah, like it wasn't like Flight of the Conchords. Well, that's another one. It's like New Zealand, but my New Zealand friend, like she was like saying, "Oh, there's a lot of local references that you won't get." and she started pointing out all this stuff, and I was like, ah, shit. I just went over my head. But your show is very, like I said, accessible, and I think it's going to do well with like multiple audiences instead of just like, oh, just Liverpool people. So yeah, pretty cool.
We hope so. It was like the product of us feeling like we're living in a completely different time during lockdown.
Yeah.
I know it's so cliched, but we just missed being outside and being with our friends, having a laugh. And then when there was the chance to finally go out and do something, we kind of hit it at the right time because most of us didn't have jobs at the time. A lot of people had a lot of free time and wanted to make the most of that kind of weird period between lockdown kind of ending and the world going back to normal. We just wanted to make the most outrageous kind of show that we could.
You can just tell as well that it was written in that period where the pubs had just opened back up. Because a lot of the scenes were literally us, like in the pub for the first time in over a year, just coming up with all these ridiculous scenarios. As John said, like we just fed off that buzz and that excitement to just be back pissing about.
Yeah, like especially the character you play, Ethan. It's like David Bugle.
Yeah.
Like I fucking love that character. Like I remember like the last podcast I had to listen just before this, but the last time you guys were on was March 2021. Like going back to it. But Matt said like he was his favorite character, and yeah, he's just mine too.
Yeah, thanks.
It's
But
ridiculous.
I mean, if you know that the show was shot and written in 2021, you can tell that David Bugle's very much a product of that time.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I've always seen it's like David Bugle isn't just a bunch of like teenage northern lads taking a piss out of the Tories. Although it is mostly that. It's also just a comment on politicians and the standard of them in general over the past couple of years. Everyone our age feels really disassociated with them. We can't relate to them. We don't know who they are. We can't understand their backgrounds because we've never lived them. There's nobody that represents the majority of young people in Parliament. So David Bugle he was in the party that epitomised that the most. Obviously, he was a Tory, but yeah, he was sort of us saying that during this like completely ridiculous time, this absolute crisis, like so many of the people in the country, like young people under like 30, 25, can't empathize with the people that are telling us to calm down and to stay indoors and to do all this stuff. We don't know who these people are. We can't relate to them. So it's difficult for us to be able to acclimatize to this life that people are telling us to now live because we don't know who these people are. And I think David Bugle was the epitome of that. He was completely tone deaf. He was an idiot. He meant well, but he just couldn't understand the problems of anybody that didn't grow up in that Etonian sort of echo chamber that he lived in throughout his entire life.
It's the epitome of like one rule for them, another rule for everyone else.
Yeah, for sure.
It's absolutely aged, you know,
it's
both
aged
horribly and brilliantly because obviously since
but he's like
since we filmed it, all that scandal that's come out about the British government having parties, cheese and wine nights in lockdown. So he is really.
But yeah, he's sort of a melting pot of several different characters, and like some of them have more meaning than others.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, Doctor Who because of the whimsy of it and the quirkiness and the stupidness of it, but also people like Matt Hancock, I think was a massive inspiration because it just like the absolute like idiocy that man displayed when he had the position of power. A bit of David Cameron as well, so that like that high society, but doesn't really try to show it. Tries to be cool in a way. Tries to relate to the commoner, but just can't because he's from a completely different universe. But yeah, Matt Hancock and people like that were massive inspirations. And then I just sort of took little tiny different bits from all these different people. So David Brent as well, like these tiny little quirks that just made this like smorgasbord of tone deaf, like just a complete moron. Like has no idea what he's doing, but there is like, and you see it on later on in the show. There is, you can see like the sort of the hint of a really sensitive, caring person in there that just doesn't know how to care for other people because he's from a different dimension.
Oh, for sure. There was a scene that kind of epitomizes that as well, where obviously not giving anything away from the show, but like there's a scene where he's in the brewery blindfolded and there's a bottle involved. I'm gonna leave it at that. And then people can to say what happens until we see it, of course. But
We don't
yeah.
talk about the bottle scene anymore.
It was just like it just hit me out of the blue, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like these people are absolute freaks behind closed doors, and they pretend like they're like these like stiff upper lip, proper British people, but they're all proper weirdos when you turn the cameras off. And I think that was a bit of a jokey sort of reference to that. The David tries to present as this uber confident, like leader of men, but he's being force fed beer by this weird punk monster man, this orc of a human. That like, yeah.
But it's also the fact that we know who control these politicians. Like the politicians are just the face, but there are people behind them that we have no idea who's funding them, who's being, writing the speeches, who's telling them how to vote.
Oh, for sure. But shout out to that brewery as well. Top Rope Brewery, is that you filmed in?
Incredible.
Massive shout out. Like, we couldn't have possibly gotten a better location. Like, the way that Top Rope is laid out was like a little stage as well. Like, it's a big open space. All the brewery canisters are along the back. One of them was actually named Reynolds. So, like, mine and John's name was just in the background of almost every shot, and people thought that was a deliberate little Easter egg.
Yeah.
Just a coincidence. And their beer is incredible as well. Like, at the end of the shoot, we were just buying some of the cans that they had on sale because it's just brilliant. And then the pub we filmed in as well, the Denby Castle in Liverpool, it was the greatest crossover once because we went there and they were selling the beer from Top Rope. So we were having the beer from the Birchall Brewery at the Birchall pub. It was a fun little moment.
That's badass. Like your props were really cool looking as well. Like I really like the look of the bottle and the label. Was that like a local company or
We just did it.
you used it?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I just printed out some labels and like got it all stuck on. It was very tedious work and a lot of asking around for like empty used bottles off like the rest of the class and I'm just gluing them all on. But I'm glad that they turned out okay.
It was an artist called Sarah who I went to uni with who designed the Birchall's logos. And I remember just sitting in like lectures at uni with her and like she wasn't really paying attention. She was kind of just doodling like dragons and things. I was like, if I ever need a graphic artist, I'm gonna come to her, and I think it's such a brilliant logo.
Yeah,
That's killer. Do you have any other like fun stories from like shooting? Or just
2
loads?
months. 2 months. The first summer that any of us were allowed out. So yeah, we've got a couple. Yeah. Who wants to start us off?
There was one where it was like, I don't think I was there for most of the day, but it was a scene in a strip club. And I've just heard this kind of like secondhand. You guys like filming in the strip club, and then our brilliant DOP for that day, David Webster, he's just kind of doing some work on his laptop, doing his day job. And then Ethan looks over and he's like, "Is that who I think it is?" And he's editing footage of Timothy Spall.
Yeah.
The great Timothy Spall. He's
No way.
wearing Roland shoes with him. The same day that he's like filming you guys in a strip club scene.
That was the day that he was filming 2 kids sat on top of each other in an overcoat and a top hat.
Oh yeah.
pretending to be an adult. That day he was editing like this incredibly like good looking professional shoot with Timothy Spall. It was insane. That strip club one was weird as well. I remember just before we started shooting, because I had like an infinite amount of print points for my college, because you've got money, you've got to top it up and stuff like that. I just never used it in 2 years, so I had loads. So Matt asked me to print off a bunch of posters for the show that we're going to use as props, and one of them was the posters for the strip club, and the strip club's called the Cock and Pull, and it's like this old guy pointing with a bunch of like girls in bikinis behind them, but they were absolutely massive. They were like A1, A2, huge. And I had to print out about like 10 of them. So I went in the middle of a film studies class, printed them all out, and I just sort of had to like really like stand over the printer because there was just like students and teachers walking by. I was just printing out these really graphic posters. And then I had to like roll them up to carry back to class and make sure nobody saw them. And then a couple of people were like, "What the fuck?"
Another like one of the most like ridiculous memories was we were shooting a scene in Liverpool City Centre at 10 p.m. on a Friday night where Ethan is dressed in his Tory costume with his big rosette. And I think Ethan knew the risks of doing this.
I was excited for it.
Yeah, but obviously it being Liverpool, it being a Friday night, there being a Tory, just what they thought was a real Tory walking around, he got so much abuse. And it was hilarious because like I'd love to have turned around and said like, you know, he's the most like left-wing person you'll ever meet, but they just thought he was a real Tory. And then one actually went up to him and like Ethan just broke character, his Scouse accent came out, made him just acting, and that was a good laugh. It was just funny that they thought he was real.
We did do some promo like before we actually started filming the series. We did some test footage, and Ethan went out and about in Ormskirk, which is like the town where me and Matt grew up, which is a bit more like a little bit more right wing than like Liverpool.
Yeah, that didn't face as much stick there.
Yeah, like Ethan's in character as Bugle, like interviewing people just to kind of like test the cameras, test the character, and like people fell for it. I think.
Yeah,
I think
a fair few people did genuinely think I was some sort of like amateur politician or something like that. A couple of people did ask, because like came up to us like was it for the BBC or ITV? It was like a political campaign or something like that. But yeah, I mean, that one night we were filming in Rodney Street in Liverpool when I was, I mean, I knew that day was coming, and I knew that was like, eventually we're going to be shooting in public and I'm going to get called out for being a Tory. I'm just glad it happened because it, maintained my faith in my own city, which is obviously like, for anybody that knows English culture, Liverpool is a historically left-wing city.
Yeah.
So to be able to go, oh yeah, I can go out as a Tory and get shit for it, I was made up. Yeah. I remember a taxi driver throwing a couple of words out there that I'm not sure are allowed on this podcast.
Say what you want. Got no sponsors.
Tory cunt.
Tory cunt.
Yeah. I was made up that people hated them enough to like actually call me out.
Yeah. What that's testament to the character and stuff as well. Like it was such a strong character.
Yeah.
Like it's just would be believable.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd put so much like energy and focus over like half a year, trying to like understand who he was, things about him that you're not going to see in the show, but I would play him with the idea that certain ABC was true. And then that one test day in Ormskirk was massive. I think for the whole production we learned a lot of lessons, but David as a character, I think, just matured in general. He became a bit more subtle, a bit funnier. It was very overt before that test day, the way I played him, and then I found a groove on that day that led to the way I played him in the show, which was had a bit more substance to him, a bit more depth. And I think it shows in like the later episodes when he gets a bit more mature. He sort of snaps out of it and stops being such a tit.
The killer. But see, on the directing side of things, like how do you like kind of marry all that up? Like as you were saying, like you like your scenes to be different and stuff, but like is there a line then? Like is the next scene like that's how much I'm doing it on the fly. I don't know what I'm actually asking. But is there like a line where like is the next scene far too ridiculous, or like how do you I guess balance your show really?
I what I wanted was everyone to know their dynamic with each other character. So basically, I'd kind of do like, I had little meetings with everyone in the build up to the film, and then I was talking to them about their character, and I was like, right, so like John, what would your character think of PJ's character or Liv's character? Like, I wanted everyone to have opinions and relationships with the other characters. They might not even be in scenes with them, but I think the way that we made it feel like a little world where everyone actually knows each other, everyone actually has these opinions, these beliefs. It felt like a little world, and then I was able to kind of look at it from above and know how it works and know that these themes kind of thread through each other. And I think it did well. I think I just didn't want to be scared to make it too tonally consistent. I didn't want it to be too dramatic, and I didn't want it to be too comedic. So I kind of just found a way in the middle that hopefully wasn't too much of either.
Yeah, well, it turned out well. It's so sweet. One thing I was really impressed with was just the sound mixing. There was some of the scenes like going back to that scene where like John was giving the speech there as Burchill, um, like where like you cut out all the audio, so it's just him speaking, and it seemed super awkward. Like you couldn't hear any other sounds. Um, but
Yeah, so this
it's got to
this
be.
is the first time working with like or one of the first times working with like a fully dedicated sound mix. So that was Ned Allman who did he recorded on the set with the boom mic. And then he has spent the last year basically working quite painstakingly at all the sound mixing. So that's all down to him.
Unreal. Like, yeah, it's just incredible. But I think we're almost out of time here as far as free Zoom time. But yeah, should we wrap up and review some beers?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you guys drinking today?
This is lovely. This is Buxton Brewery's Kingslayer Double IPA.
Oh, nice one.
This is an 8% IPA, which Betchell's in the show is 9%, so
Yeah.
not too far off in terms of strength. But it's absolutely delicious. It's really citrusy. I don't know, it's just got a really warming feeling. I'm not a big fan of like citrusy IPAs, but I something about this one's really lovely. It says on the can, we must have bloody noses and cracked crowns, a juicy New England style DIPA with tropical fruit flavors coming from Citra and Mosaic hops. It's really nice, really drinkable for such a strong beer. Because I can't remember if it was on this show, but I had like a Leffe on one of the shows that we did last time, the Belgian one that's I think about 9%, which is a great beer, but
Yeah.
I felt very lightheaded after a few sips of that. But this is very what's the word? Sessionable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I'm brewing a double IPA at the minute. I think it's going to turn out about 7.5%, all going well. It should be ready like next week, but we'll see. Well,
What are your flavors with that one?
should be like sort of. I really want like a dark orange kind of flavor, like a heavy citrus, bit of dankness, and like but to have it like light enough as well, but it's not like it doesn't sit heavy on you. So basically, if I don't die from it, maybe I'll make some more.
Yeah, if it tastes anything like this, it's lovely.
Oh, cool. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I've gone down a very similar route. So I've got a double IPA as well. So 7.3. It's by 4Pure, who incidentally are one of the breweries that I like consulted with when we were trying to film Virtual Pints. So I'd never actually tried it, and I found it in M&S. I was very happy with it. This is 7.3% as well. At the start, I thought this is really heavy, but I think the more I've drank, you kind of get really used to it. And yeah, I'm surprised for something so strong to be so drinkable. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Killer. How about you, Ethan?
I'm on my favourite beer of all time, Beavertown Gamma Ray.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah, it's just amazing. It's a session American Pale Ale, so like John's, it's quite sort of citrusy, a bit of orange and stuff like that, which is To be fair, it's a massive upgrade from the last time I was on here when I was in my nan's box room and all she had in the fridge was
The
a chocolate bar.
Copperberg.
Yeah. But yeah, Gamone's incredible. It's me go-to in whatever place. If somewhere has it, then it's definitely me go-to. As John said, obviously it is a session, so it's very sessionable. I can chain drink as many of these as I physically can before I fall over and black out. But yeah, I absolutely love it.
Killer. Well, for me, I'm on the Flint Eye Dry Hop Lager from Green King. The 4.5%.
Oh, same. Oh no, 5.4. Got them numbers Rick round.
Yeah.
But
decent enough. I wouldn't go back to it. Like, I didn't realize it was a lager. It just like it looked cool. Like it had this nice green top and stuff. And I was drawn to the can, but
yeah,
thanks for the contents. Nah, not for me.
Oh, you're not a fan?
No.
Sometimes the design like overcompensates for the beer itself.
Yeah.
Look at the shiny thing.
Me and Matt drank an ungodly amount of craft beer during when we were writing virtuals over lockdown. At one point we had like a league table where we'd kind of score every beer over 100. We drank a lot of lovely ones, but a lot of not so nice ones as well. But
isn't that what Smithy and Gavin did, and Gavin and Stacey? They had a league table of beers. Or was that a World Cup? Yeah.
Like killer. What about wraps this up for a wee catch up with the guys from Some of the Guys with the Camera for Virtual Spanks. Release date TV confirmed. So just keep an eye, follow them on Instagram, and yeah.
Thanks so much for having us.
Obviously,
thanks for having us. It was great. It was great to be back on.
Great. Thanks so much, guys.
Always a pleasure, Sean. Thank you.
That was